Hi guys, how are you doing? I'm so excited to be back on YouTube. I know it's been a minute since I've last uploaded, and that is because if you're not following me on Instagram, you may have noticed that I've started a video series on my IGTV, and so those are going out weekly. It's kind of part of a larger partnership I've been doing with Facebook, or I will be doing with Facebook over the next 12 months. So if you guys are looking for any more video content, make sure you're following me on Instagram. I still will be uploading to YouTube because I love my growing community here. So I decided to film this especially for my YouTube fam. So let's get into it. So obviously from the title, you know what this video is going to be all about. We are chatting about the new Gucci foundation that just launched. I got 3 shades that I'm going to be trying out, and then I also got the primer as well, so we're going to be kind of playing around with those. So some things you should know about this foundation is that it covers the full 40 shade range, which is incredible coming from a luxury brand, and I don't know, I just thought that was really cool. It's also medium coverage, which is kind of nice because you can sheer it out as much as you want or keep building it up. I tried 3 different shades, or I requested 3 different shades from the Gucci Beauty team just to kind of share with you guys. Obviously with 40 it's going to be kind of tough to do that full shade range, but I do know that it's going to be launching in Sephora in January, so that's kind of a great way for you to go in store to swatch it out for yourselves. I'm pretty sure with 40 shades, there's definitely going to be a color for everyone. So let's kind of just get into the swatches and see what we come up with. So I asked for 3 different shades. I asked for the 450, which has a cool undertone. And from the website listing, it looked like it could be my shade, but this definitely looks a lot lighter. I also got the 560, and this is a neutral undertone, but that looks like very cool toned compared to my skin tone. And then I think I hit the jackpot with 480, which also is cool toned. I didn't know I had cool tones. I always thought that my skin was warmer, but you learn something new, right? So this is, after I played around with this on my own, I figured out that 480 was my color. But the thing that I found that was really interesting, and that you should keep in mind too if you're shopping for a foundation, is that these numbers don't necessarily all run from light to dark. If you look at the difference between the 460 and the 480, I would say the 460 is actually darker than the 480. So it really just comes down to how they have grouped each foundation shade according to its undertone. This 460 is supposed to be neutral, and to me it looks a lot darker than the 480. So definitely you want to make sure you are getting matched by your undertones, and if you're able to go in store to try it out, that's probably what I would best recommend. But I will also say that I requested these online, just like from an online swatch. The colors they have swatched online are pretty close to what they turn out to be in real life. So I was still able to find my shade without actually going in store to do a skin swatch. So just saying, there are options. I know Sephora is really great about returns. So if you are just looking to shop online and pull a few shades, see what works for you, send the rest back, that's an option as well. So I'm just going to do quick hand swatches for each of these colors just so you guys can see, and then we're going to go in with the 480 for most of my face. Because they don't have concealers quite yet, I'm actually going to use the 450 for kind of the my under eye area. It's a foundation, not a concealer, but I don't really go that heavy-handed with my concealers anyway, so a foundation will work just fine. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the swatches. This color is 450, and it's the one with the cool undertone. So that's the color right there, and I'm just gonna spread that out a little bit for you guys to see. So it definitely is a lot lighter than I would need to wear on my own skin. And it definitely has a bit of a orangey, to me, it looks like it has a bit of an orangey reddish undertone, which when it's my shade, I actually typically like, because it brightens my skin up without going necessarily lighter. It's just like a brighter look. Now this here we have 460, which is the neutral undertone. And this is like a huge difference from 450. If you just, especially when you look at the colors side by side. So there we have it. It almost kind of, so there we go. I think that's a good view. So the 460 is pretty close, but I would say that it looks a little bit too olivey for my face. So that's kind of why I would hesitate to use that. So just to compare, I did not request 470. I don't recall why. I think a lot of the warm undertone shades just looked completely off to me, just from the online swatches, so I didn't request any of those. So we skipped over 470 and went to 480. And I think that this is my shade. And so just kind of taking a look at the three of them side by side, you can kind of see why. And you can see a huge difference in what the undertones look like. So the undertone of the 450 and the 480 is quite similar, with that reddish orangey undertone, whereas the 460, to me it looks a little bit flat. Obviously it depends on, you know, your own skin tone. It might work, it will obviously work for someone else's skin tone, but for me it looks a little bit flat, and that's not typically the look that I go for. So that said, having taken a look at just some of the swatches that I got, let's get to putting an application on, and I will give you my final review. Okay, so let's start with the primer. It is described more of like a serum, and if you look at the formula, it's also really, really soft and liquidy like a serum too. And there's like a light fragrance to it. Honestly, it feels more like skincare than a makeup product. So it's definitely not sticky. I don't think that there's silicone in this. I think you kind of know when there's silicone because it kind of slips and slides. This really does just feel like a skincare serum, which feels quite nice. And actually, I don't know if you guys can tell, and maybe I'm just seeing things, but I feel like that kind of brightened my face up a bit. Yeah, so actually it feels really moisturizing, but then once it melts into the skin, it feels like very satin to me. Just gonna put a little bit more on my forehead, and then we'll be good to go to get into the foundation. Really love that. Cool. So that is the primer. Okay, so I'm gonna be using my beauty blender for this application, and I'm just gonna start, make sure I'm using the right shade. I'm gonna start with the 480, and I'm gonna just apply that with my hand, my fingers, just around the perimeter of my face, and then work it in. So just gonna start with just 2 pumps on my hand, and then start working that around. Okay, so I basically just started that mostly around the perimeter of my face, and as you guys can see, I really, really love how this color, it's just really nice and brightening. Which I love in a foundation. I think it's just the worst when colors make you look dull, which is kind of what I was afraid of with the 460, even though like it looked like a pretty close match. It just looked like it was not gonna do my complexion that many favors. So I just pumped a little bit more just to keep working it in towards the center of my face. I know I mentioned talking about liking the orangey undertones when it comes to my foundations, and I actually think, you know, when you are looking at color correctors, a lot of them come in those orange or red colors. There was this whole trend of like people putting lipstick under their foundation to color correct, and I think that honestly, if you just warm up your foundation, you can literally get that exact same effect without putting 1,000,001 layers. And that's basically why I look for that undertone for my skin. Obviously it's not a look that works for everyone, but it definitely works for me, and it's just super flattering. So that is the first application. It feels super light. Looks really good. I'm gonna just put a little bit more on my forehead because I didn't do too much there, and then we're gonna pull in the 450 for under eye. So there we have it. I'll just come in a little bit closer for you guys to see what the foundation looks like. It's the perfect match to my chest, which is always a good way to double check and make sure you're using the right shade, but that like blends in perfectly. So just to brighten in the brighten up the inner eye area, because we know that's where we always go in with a lot of concealer, I'm gonna bring in the 450 concealers. So now we're gonna go in with the 450, and I'm just gonna concentrate that right around my eyes. And you can already see that brightening up compared to the other side. Gotta get rid of those holiday dark circles. I hope this application looks good on camera because I am winging it without a mirror. I'm just using the little viewfinder screen on my camera, so apologies if this does not look as good as I hope it does, but I'm thinking you guys can get a general idea of where we're headed. I'm gonna use just a tad bit more on this side. Just a teeny tiny dab. Great. So that's basically what the 480 foundation looks like on my skin tone. It was the perfect match for me. My favorite thing about this foundation is that, as you guys could see, I'm not super heavy-handed when it comes to my makeup, and this is like the perfect formula that lets you build up if you like, but for me I like to keep it a lot lighter. I don't have much in terms of skin issues, so all I'm looking to do is just even and brighten things up a little bit, and so this is basically what it looks like, and it looks pretty dang good. What I will do though, just to kind of finish up this look, because I kind of like it to be a little bit more matte on top of my cheeks right here, I'm gonna go in with my favorite powder, which is the Laura Mercier powder. This is in that translucent, deep or medium deep. And I'm just gonna use some of that powder right under my eye, just to kind of matte and blend all of that out. And for this too, I also don't use much. I don't do baking or any of that crazy stuff, just enough to take away the shine, which happens for pretty much any foundation formula, but you can kind of see the difference. It just kind of evens things out a little bit, right? Do it on the other side as well. So there we have it. That's basically what the foundation looks like, the new Gucci Beauty foundation, along with the primer, which I love as well. It's really, really great that they brought those out at the same time, because I think you always need a really good primer that matches with the formula of your foundation. So those are like the two that you need to get together. How do I feel in it? It's super lightweight. Like, I actually feel, I know a lot of the times when people are done with their face, it's kind of like you almost feel like you're wearing too much, but this is really, really light, and that is what I love in my own makeup. I think just to finish up this look, I'm gonna keep things a little bit light. I'm not gonna do a full face, but I'm just going to do my brows and add a little lip color. So there we have it. I just added a little bit of a lip, brows, and mascara to complete the look. That we use the wonderful new Gucci Beauty foundation and concealer duo, but I really, really love. Obviously the question is, would I recommend it? 100,000 times yes. I try a lot of foundation and concealers throughout the year just because of the nature of my job, and to be completely honest, it is not that often that I find a formula and a shade that I absolutely fall in love with. This is definitely going to be a top contender. I really like how this turned out. It's perfect whether you want that lighter coverage or something a little bit heavier. Just kind of wear it according to what you love. And I know for a fact that it's going to be launching in Sephora's soon. While I'm taping this right now, it is available only on Gucci.com, but I know it will be available in like larger retailers that are maybe more accessible to you wherever it is that you live. So definitely be sure to stop by, get swatched. But if it's something that you can't wait to get your hands on now, I was able to find my own shade just by looking at the online swatches. So they are very, very accurate as far as what they look like online versus what they look like in real life. So yeah, I don't know. If you guys have any other questions about anything, feel free to leave a comment below. And I know that I have been on and off YouTube a bit this past year. I'm still trying to strike that balance. A lot of my content, my weekly content on IGTV has just been taking up so much of my time, but I know that there's kind of a type of content people like to see on Instagram versus what they like to see on YouTube. I feel like on YouTube I can spend a little more time and chat things through, whereas on Instagram people kind of want those 2-3 minute tops content. So I'm gonna try to differentiate that and be a little bit more active on here this year as well. So if you guys want to see anything or have any questions about anything, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.